So I'm going to do and show a scribble exercise, and hopefully I can do two things at one time and hold the camera somewhat straight while I'm also doing the scribbles. So my intention or my focus today is on some weight gain I've had. So I've been working through reasons for holding on to extra weight, and I've made some changes and done a lot of release and felt really good about it. And instead of maintaining or releasing weight, which I had been doing a really good job maintaining weight, all of a sudden I'm gaining weight. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe there's some stuff that's subconscious that I'm having a really hard time finding. And so I'm just going to start doing a scribble exercise. So I'm going to start with my dominant hand, which I'm right-handed, and it's really easy. You just start scribbling, and I'm just using some scrap paper. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble, but I'm also going to pay attention to anything that I start feeling come up, any thoughts that come to mind, and then I'll take note on that just somewhere on my paper. Okay, and so something that's coming up is confusion, and it's interesting because this came up right as I noticed I was starting to go into circles and then scribbles and then circles and scribbles. So okay, so something else is showing up. It's going to take me a second to identify this one. So this is a combination. It feels like fear, but it also feels like crying. And like I feel very like helpless. And I can actually I feel like tears coming in the back of my eyes like right now, like just that feeling. I'm going to breathe through that and keep scribbling. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm working through that. Like that's what this is. Okay, so you'll notice that like my scribbling pattern changed quite a bit as I was working through that fear, crying, helplessness. Just like my circles went backwards, and it went very much into like this kind of like downward position and almost like very hidden and very inner. And I have no idea what that was about. And I didn't even feel those emotions very strongly. It's like they were just like kind of there, but then not. All right, and I can feel I've moved into this ovular thing. So when you move into an oval pattern like this, you're finished processing, and I could try doing like scribbling outward, but then it's automatically moving back into that ovular pattern. And so that's how I know that I'm finished. So now I'm going to repeat this process with my non-dominant hand. And the reason for that is when you're using your dominant hand, you're accessing things that are conscious, that are in the now or recent past, or the known subconscious, like things that you're aware of, but it's just like so far in the back of your memory that it's not anything that you give a lot of attention to. It's like, oh, well, I know something happened to me when I was younger, but I It's like I have zero understanding of like that's affecting me right now in this way. And so it's your known subconscious. And then with your non-dominant hand, that is your unknown subconscious, your deep past, and oftentimes there's like it helps with another area, like more childhood specific, especially when it comes to traumas and stuff, because in your non-dominant hand it appears more childlike. So I'm going to now switch over to do that. See how this works. Okay, so I'm having frustration come up. And if I didn't have a camera that I was holding, I would probably write it with my other hand. I mean, even, you know, even my handwriting, it's like it looks much younger and just, anyways, just an interesting thought, so. So there's like an intensity that's coming up, and it's like this, it's not exactly anger, but it is definitely more than frustration. And it's just like this hard scribble. It's got really tiny and really pinpointed. And even just the way that I felt like I needed to change the way my hand was, my hand position. And then remember to breathe through the process, which interestingly, that was a release because now I'm shifting again. And again, I have no idea what this is about. I do find it interesting that just that general pressure is definitely heavier. And it's interesting, this feels silly to me. Like there's a feeling of like I'm being silly, like I'm a child and I'm being silly. And I'm just being silly because I'm silly kind of a thing. Just, but then like there's judgment on that. And so that's like, oh, I have to protect myself. I'm actually gonna write that down. And then I didn't write down that other one where it was kind of angry, but I'm going to write that down just as anger because I think that it's just kind of borderline on what that was. Ooh. All right, I've noticed I've gone into that circular pattern, so I'm going to try and force out of it. And again, it comes back into that. So now I'm done with that. And so that's the scribble exercise. And it is super helpful, and you don't have to know what it is, and you only need to write things down if they come to mind. So like I didn't have to write down the emotions I was feeling. I just felt them. I just breathed through them. I just allowed them to be, no judgment, and just kept scribbling. And so you can do that with crayons, pencils. I used a pencil this time. You can do anything. You can do a pen. Just make sure that, like, see, with mine, I accidentally wrote on my laptop, which is why I'm really glad that I was using pencil, because I can just erase that. And I don't usually use my laptop as a writing surface. So yeah, probably don't do that. But anyways, utilize that exercise. It'll be really helpful for you. So